For this week's Preppin Data, we're trying to find out which customers are closest to the branches for Data Source Bank. So we have information about our branches, so where they're located, the latitude and the longitude, and we have the same information as well for each of our customers, 125 in total. So what we want to do is we want to associate each of our customers with each one of the banks initially, so that we can find out the distance between each customer and each bank, so that we only then associate them with their nearest bank. Okay, so we're going to use a dummy field in order to do that data appending. So in our dummy field, we literally just create a calculated field and we call it dummy, and we just have the number 1 in there. Then when we join those two together, then what we get is basically each customer then gets 1 row for each branch that is in the data. So our 125 rows of customers become 500 rows of customers. Okay, and then we want to do some transformations of the latitude and longitude into radians. So we're going to pivot the data because we need to do it for the address, latitude and longitude, and the branch latitude and longitude. We could just write 4 separate calculations. I'm a little bit lazy. I only want to write 1 calculation, so I'm going to just pivot my data down like this, and then write 1 calculation basically. So in the calculated field called transformed values, all I do is I divide my values that I pivoted by 180 divided by pi. So I didn't know until recently that pi was in Tableau Prep, but there it is to work with, which is pretty cool. I also just renamed my field, so I created a new field called radians, just to have address lat and long with dash radians afterwards. So just a simple calculated field there. There'll be the new headers for the fields. Probably not necessary since I then did go and get rid of pivot 1 names and pivot 1 values in there, so I probably could just use the pivot 1 names, but I didn't want to confuse things, so that's why I did it the way that I did. Then it's time to unpivot that data again, so using that new field as the headers and using the transformed values as those new values. So now I have all of that, those 4 fields transformed into radians. Okay. Then I can go and use that very long distance calculation, typing very carefully to make sure that I type it all correctly. So 3,963, that's the radius of the Earth, and we're multiplying that by all this long formula here, which I won't go through in detail, but making sure that in my case, I used the address as 1. Those 1 coordinates, and I use the branch as 2 coordinates. So anywhere where it's saying lat 1, I'm using the customer address latitude, and anywhere that it's saying lat 2, I'm using the branch latitude. Okay, so just literally just kind of substituting in those values into that equation, and we get a distance field. I actually tested this out in Alteryx and I get the same values, so that's very cool that it works pretty well across those 2 softwares. And then I just rounded the distance as well to 2 decimal places because it was very long beforehand. So now I just want to look at each customer and find out what has the shortest distance, which branch has the shortest distance. So I use a rank in order to do that. So performing a rank on the distance in ascending order for each customer basically. And I get 1 to 4 for each customer. And then I keep only the closest. So keep only that is ranked 1, and then remove that ranking field. Now I have 125 rows, so 1 branch for each customer. I join it back onto the data before we pivoted it so that we keep those latitude and longitude of the customer and branches. Maybe at some point we want to do some visualizations with this data, so we want to keep in the latitude and the longitude for the branch and the customer. And we're making sure to join on both customer and branch here so that we don't get those branches which we don't want to associate with the customers that are too far away from it. So we remove a couple of unnecessary fields at this stage, and then finally we're just prioritizing our customers based on, for each branch we want to know which customer is the closest. So another rank calculation that we do here based on the distance in ascending order, and then we've got for each of our branches rank our customers. And that's it. That's the challenge for this week. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.